In a future far beyond what humans could imagine, Earth was no longer the peaceful, quiet planet it once was. The universe had changed, and so had its inhabitants. Alien species, once unaware of Earth's existence, now watched humanity with both fascination and fear. Why? Because human blood had become the most powerful substance in the galaxy. It was not just the value of blood as a resource that made it special. Human blood contained something no other species possessed, a hidden genetic code that, if unlocked, could grant unimaginable power. Legends told of a time when humans would rule the stars, and their blood would be the key to that power. But, for now, the truth was a secret buried in the past, and humanity had no idea how valuable they were. The Koren, an ancient alien race, had discovered this secret long ago. For centuries, they had been searching for the source of this power, and their search had led them to Earth. With their superior technology, the Koren were able to track down the rarest and most potent human bloodlines, planning to harvest it for themselves. They believed that whoever controlled human blood would control the future of the universe. But humanity was not unaware. Deep within Earth's last remaining research facility, a group of scientists had been investigating the strange patterns in human DNA, uncovering the first signs of this ancient power. Among them was Dr. Alexis Monroe, a brilliant but unassuming scientist. She had never imagined that her research would lead to a revelation that could change the fate of the entire human race. One day, while studying ancient alien texts, Dr. Monroe uncovered a troubling discovery. The texts spoke of a chosen bloodline, a family whose blood would unlock the power to control the universe. The Koren had been looking for this bloodline for centuries, and it was only in a matter of time before they found it. What Dr. Monroe didn't know, however, was that she herself was a descendant of this bloodline. She had never thought much of her family's history or lineage, but the more she read, the more she began to suspect something extraordinary about her own DNA. The answers were buried in her own veins. Soon after her discovery, Earth's peaceful existence came to an end. The Koren launched a sudden invasion, arriving with ships that blotted out the sky. Massive space stations appeared above Earth, and across the planet, humanity saw the terrifying power of the alien race that now demanded their blood. Dr. Monroe had no time to waste. She reached out to the surviving human governments, warning them of the Koren's plans. But even as she spoke, she realized that time was running out. The Koren's ships were already descending, and they would stop at nothing to capture the humans they needed. As the Koren began their attack, Dr. Monroe was secretly taken into a hidden lab beneath the Earth's surface. There, she found a group of rebels who had been preparing for the Koren's arrival. They had known that one day humanity would have to face the truth about their blood. They had been waiting for someone like Dr. Monroe to lead them. Dr. Monroe, one of the rebels, Captain Elias, said as he approached her. His voice was firm but filled with worry. "The Koren have found us. We need your help." Alexis nodded, determination in her eyes. She had no idea how to stop the Koren, but she knew they couldn't afford to fail. She had learned something vital from the texts. The Koren had a weakness. They could only harness the power of human blood if they found the right bloodline. If they didn't, their efforts would be in vain. But there was a catch. The key to unlocking the full power of human blood lay in a ritual, one that only the chosen bloodline could perform. And as it turned out, Dr. Monroe's own blood was the key. Her genetic code was the one they had been searching for. If the Koren knew, they would stop at nothing to get her. As the Koren's forces drew closer, Dr. Monroe and the rebels made a plan. They would need to find the ancient artifacts mentioned in the texts before the Koren did. These artifacts held the power to either destroy the Koren's plans or give them the control they sought. But time was running out, and the rebels knew they had only one chance. With the Koren closing in, Alexis led the group on a daring mission to locate the artifacts. The journey took them to remote parts of the Earth, places long forgotten by history, where secrets were buried deep underground. The tension grew with every passing day as the Koren's ships grew larger in the sky. Just when they thought they were getting closer, they were ambushed. The Koren had tracked them down, and a fierce battle broke out. Alexis fought alongside the rebels, but it was clear they were outnumbered. The Koren were everywhere. In the heat of the battle, Alexis realized the truth. The power of her blood wasn't just a weapon, it was a burden. She could never let the Karen have it, or the universe would fall under their control. With a final, desperate move, Alexis used the knowledge she had gained from the ancient texts to activate the artifact they had found. It wasn't just a weapon. It was a key. The moment she activated it, a blinding light filled the sky, and the Koran forces were thrown into disarray. But as the dust settled, Alexis knew the fight was far from over. The Koran had been defeated for now. But they would return. And next time, they wouldn't just want her blood, they would want all of humanity's. In that moment, Alexis made a decision. Humanity's blood was its greatest weapon, and she would protect it at all costs. The blood of legends had awoken, and the future of the universe now rested in her hands. The universe had always been a place of conflict. Wars between different species, battles for resources, and endless power struggles were a common sight across galaxies. But nothing prepared humanity for what was coming next. A war that would not only decide the fate of Earth, but also shake the very foundations of the universe itself. The key to winning the war was something humans had never realized they had until it was almost too late. It all started when a strange signal was detected by Earth's space stations. At first, scientists thought it was just another random burst of space radiation. After a few weeks of studying, it became clear that it wasn't just random noise. The signal was from a distant alien species known as the Exarlans, and they were coming to Earth. The Exarlans were a fearsome alien race, known for their ruthlessness and incredible technology. They had conquered countless planets, wiping out entire civilizations without a second thought. But the Exarlans had a secret: they were dying. Their bodies were aging faster than they could regenerate, and their once great empire was crumbling. The only thing that could save them was human blood. Human blood, as the Exarlans had discovered, was unlike anything they had encountered before. It contained a rare genetic structure that could unlock powers beyond imagination, powers that could extend life, cure disease, and grant near invincibility. For the Exarlans, this discovery was both a blessing and a curse. They needed human blood to survive, but taking it by force would spark a war they were not sure they could win. As Earth prepared for an invasion, Captain Lucas Hayes, a decorated military officer, was tasked with leading the defense against the Exarlans. He had faced many battles before, but this one was unlike any other. The Exarlans didn't just want to conquer Earth, they wanted to harvest its people. "We've never faced an enemy like this," Captain Hayes said, staring at the massive holographic map of Earth's defenses. "They're not just after territory. They want something we don't understand." His team of elite soldiers, including his trusted second-in-command, Sergeant Sarah Grant, prepared for the worst. They trained for every possible scenario, knowing that they might be humanity's last hope. But even as they made their preparations, the Exarlans arrived. The first wave of Exarlan ships broke through Earth's outer defenses like paper. The world watched in horror as massive battleships landed in major cities. People screamed in panic, fleeing from the invaders, but the Exarlans were relentless. They didn't just want to fight, they wanted to capture. Captain Hayes and his team fought bravely, pushing back the invaders in a few key areas, but it was clear that humanity was outmatched. The Exarlans had advanced technology that made Earth's weapons look primitive. Their ships could disappear and reappear at will, and their soldiers had enhanced strength and agility. It wasn't until the battle reached the heart of New York City that the truth came out. The Exarlans had not only come for Earth's resources, they had come to harvest human blood. They captured people by the thousands, draining them of their life force to prolong their own. It was a horrifying sight, and Earth's leaders knew they had to act fast. But Captain Hayes soon learned something even more terrifying. There was more to human blood than just its ability to heal. It was a key one that could unlock ancient alien technology buried beneath Earth's surface. And the Exarlans knew it. They weren't just after blood, they were after something far more dangerous: the power to control the universe. As the war raged on, Captain Hayes received a cryptic message from a scientist named Dr. Elena Carter. She'd been studying the ancient alien artifacts buried on Earth for years and had uncovered something disturbing. The artifacts were not just weapons. They were the remnants of an ancient civilization that had discovered the true potential of human blood. If the Exarlans gained control of these artifacts, they could unleash a force that would make them unstoppable. With the stakes higher than ever, Captain Hayes and his team launched a daring mission to stop the Exarlans from finding the artifacts. They had to move quickly before the enemy could locate the hidden base deep underground where the artifacts were kept. The team traveled across the globe, fighting through cities, forests, and deserts, always staying one step ahead of the Sarlans. Every encounter with the aliens was a brutal fight for survival, and Captain Hayes began to wonder if they could truly win this war. But there was no time for doubt. They had a mission to complete. When they finally reached the hidden base, they found it guarded by the most dangerous of the Xarlan forces. It was a race against time. The team had to infiltrate the base, destroy the artifacts, and stop the Xarlans from unlocking the ancient power.as. They fought their way through the base. Captain Hayes had a terrifying realization. The Xarlans had already discovered how to harness the power of human blood. They had begun testing it on captured humans, turning them into weapons. These blood warriors were faster, stronger, and nearly indestructible. The team finally reached the chamber that held the main artifact. But just as they were about to destroy it, a voice echoed through the room. "You think you can stop us?" The Xarlan leader, a towering figure, stepped forward. His eyes glowed with the power of human blood. "You are too late. This is only the beginning." The final battle was intense. The team fought with everything they had, but it was clear that they were facing an enemy unlike any they had ever encountered. Captain Hayes and Sergeant Grant worked together, their bond unshakable, as they fought to keep humanity's last hope alive. In the end, it was a single drop of blood that decided the outcome. Captain Hayes, realizing the true potential of his own blood, used it to activate the artifact. In an instant, the Xarlan leader was overwhelmed by the power of human blood, and his army was thrown into chaos. The battle was won, but the war was far from over. The islands had been pushed back, but humanity knew they would return. The Blood Wars had only just begun. The world had always known Earth as just another planet in the vast, unending universe. Yet, beneath its peaceful surface, Earth had always held a secret one so powerful that even the gods of old could not ignore it. Human blood was more than just a life source. It was a key to unimaginable power, a power that could shape the universe itself. For centuries, this secret was hidden, buried deep in ancient texts and forgotten myths. But the gods never forgot, and they were about to make their move. It began with strange events. First, a series of unexplained earthquakes rocked the planet, followed by sudden storms and unusual celestial activity. The signs were clear. Something was stirring, something ancient and powerful. Then, on the night of a rare celestial event, the blood moon, a ship arrived from the depths of space. Its enormous size and strange markings sent shockwaves through the world's governments, who scrambled to make sense of it. The ship was not from any known alien race. The beings aboard were something different, something older. They called themselves the Azarathians. They were gods, ancient beings who had once walked among mortals, but who had long since retreated from the universe, waiting for the right moment to return. That moment had come. The Azarathians had known of humanity's hidden potential for centuries. They had watched as Earth grew and evolved, waiting for the time when humans would finally unlock the power buried in their blood. The blood moon was the signal, the moment when humanity's blood would become pure enough to access this ancient power. The Azarathians had come to claim it. Dr. Alex Carter, a leading geneticist and historian, was the first to make a connection. She had been studying ancient cultures, trying to decode the myths of the gods. She had always suspected there was more to these stories than simple legends, but she had never imagined that they were true. When the Azarathians arrived, Dr. Carter was recruited by the government to help understand what they wanted. She was their best chance of finding answers. As she delved deeper into the Azarathians' history, she discovered something horrifying. The gods were not seeking just any human blood, they wanted the blood of the chosen ones. According to the ancient texts, certain bloodlines carried the purest form of human blood, and it was this blood that would grant the Azarathians the power to control time, space, and life itself. The Azarathians believed that humanity was the key to unlocking a new era, an era where they would rule the universe once again. Dr. Carter learned that the chosen ones were not random. They were descendants of an ancient civilization that had vanished long ago. A civilization that had once ruled the universe with the power of human blood. The chosen ones were the last living links to that forgotten empire. And the blood of these individuals was the final piece needed to bring the Azarathians back to full power. But there was a twist. Dr. Carter discovered that her own bloodline was tied to this ancient civilization. She was one of the chosen ones. Her blood contained the secret the Azarathians had been searching for. The knowledge of how to unlock the ultimate power was hidden in her veins. And now, she was being hunted. As Dr. Carter tried to make sense of the truth, the Azarathians made their move. They began capturing humans, draining them of their blood, and using it to unlock the ancient power. Cities fell under their control, and humanity was pushed to the brink of extinction. The Azarathians' power grew with every drop of blood they harvested. Dr. Carter, however, was determined to stop them. She knew that if she didn't act fast, the entire human race would be doomed. She contacted a group of rebels, people who had also uncovered the truth about the gods and their plans. Together, they would fight back. They formed a plan to infiltrate the Azarathian central base, where they believed the final ritual to unlock the power would take place. The journey was perilous, as the Azarathians were relentless in their pursuit of Dr. Carter. But she was determined to stop them, no matter the cost. The closer they got to the base, the more the danger increased. The Azarathians had deployed their most powerful warriors, beings who had been enhanced with the blood they had harvested from humans. These blood warriors were faster, stronger, and nearly indestructible. Each battle they fought was more intense than the last, and the rebels began to wonder if they would ever make it. But Dr. Carter knew they couldn't give up. She had to reach the base and destroy the artifact that could unlock the power of the gods. If the Azarathians succeeded, the universe would fall under their control. When they finally reached the heart of the Azarathian base, Dr. Carter was faced with a difficult choice. The artifact that could unlock the power of human blood was in her hands. She could destroy it, and with it, the power of the Azarathians, or she could use it to save humanity, but at what cost? To use the power would mean sacrificing her humanity, becoming something more than human, something godlike. As the Azarathians closed in, Dr. Carter made her decision. She destroyed the artifact, but not without a cost. The power within her blood was too great to be contained. It exploded outward in a burst of energy, engulfing the entire base. The Azarathians were thrown into chaos, their power collapsing around them. Dr. Carter collapsed to the ground, exhausted but victorious. The Azarathians were defeated, and humanity had been saved for now. But the price was high. The power within her had been unleashed, and she knew that she was no longer the person she once was. The blood of the gods had changed her. As she stood up, she realized that the battle was far from over. The Azarathians might have been defeated, but there were other gods, other forces out there, and they would come looking for the power of human blood. And Dr. Carter would be ready for them. The world was on the edge of destruction. No one knew it yet, but Earth was the final battlefield of a war that had been raging for eons. Hidden in the blood of humans was the key to unlocking a power so immense it could tip the balance of the universe. It was the last drop that mattered, the drop of human blood that could either save the world or bring about its end. Everything started innocently enough. Ethan Raynor, a young journalist, was known for covering world events, finding the hidden stories no one else dared to look for. He thought his life was ordinary, just another man trying to make his way in the world. But that was before he stumbled upon something far bigger than anything he had ever imagined. It all began when he received a mysterious tip about an underground scientific research project known only as Project Hemolysis. At first, Ethan thought it was just another conspiracy theory, another hoax by someone who wanted attention. But his curiosity got the better of him, and he decided to investigate. He tracked down Dr. Emily Hockey, a scientist who had worked on the project before mysteriously disappearing from the public eye. When Ethan finally found her, she was in hiding. "They're coming for you too, aren't they?" Dr. Hawk said, her voice trembling. It's too late. They've already started taking the blood. Ethan was confused. Who? What are you talking about? They, she whispered, looking around nervously, the Arcanites. They're an ancient race that has been watching Earth for centuries. They need human blood for their own survival. But not just any blood, only the purest blood. The blood that can activate a power buried deep within the core of the Earth. Ethan's heart raced. He had heard of the Arcanites before old legends spoke of a race of beings who lived in the shadows, influencing events from behind the scenes. But he never believed they were real. And now, they were after the very blood that flowed in his own veins. Dr. Hawkeye explained that the Arcanites were a dying species. Their race had once ruled galaxies, but their life force had slowly drained over millennia. Their only hope was to tap into the power locked within human blood. The bloodline of every human on Earth contained a unique genetic code, one that could unlock an ancient power hidden beneath the planet's surface. For centuries, the Arcanites had watched, waiting for humanity to reach the right level of technological advancement. Now, with the world on the brink of chaos, the time had come. If the Arcanites succeeded in harvesting the blood, they would be able to activate the power beneath the Earth's core. This power could change the universe, but it would also destroy everything that humanity had built. What do you mean by the last drop? Ethan asked, feeling an unsettling chill down his spine. Dr. Hawk's eyes widened. The last drop is the final sacrifice. Once they get to it, there's no going back. They will have everything they need to control the universe. As she spoke, a loud crash echoed outside the room. Ethan turned, his heart pounding. Someone was coming. The Arcanites had found them. Without wasting a second, Dr. Hawkeye pulled Ethan into a hidden passage that led to an underground facility. There, she revealed a terrifying truth. The final drop of blood wasn't a myth. It was a human being. Someone whose blood held the key to everything. The search for the last drop was no accident. The Arcanites had already located the individual Ethan himself. His blood contained the unique genetic signature they needed to activate the ancient power. The more he learned, the more he realized that his life had never been ordinary. He was the one they had been searching for all along. The last drop of human blood.ass, they moved deeper into the underground facility. Ethan could hear the sounds of Arcanite warriors closing in. Dr. Hawk led him to a secure chamber where the final piece of the puzzle was revealed. On the walls were ancient symbols, marking the location of an underground vault. Inside this vault was the source of the power, the artifact that could unleash the unimaginable force that the Arcanites sought. "We have to stop them," Dr. Hawk said, her voice urgent. "If they get their hands on the artifact in your blood, it's over." Ethan nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. But just as they were about to enter the vault, a group of Arcanite soldiers ambushed them. The room erupted into chaos. Ethan and Dr. Hawk fought back with everything they had, but the Arcanites were too powerful. Ethan knew they didn't have much time. In the heat of the battle, Dr. Hawk was wounded. She collapsed to the ground, her blood spilling out across the cold concrete floor. As her blood touched the ground, the ancient symbols on the walls began to glow. Ethan's heart skipped a beat as he realized what was happening. Her blood mixed with his own was the final ingredient. The last drop. Ethan felt a surge of energy. He knew that Dr. Hawk had made the ultimate sacrifice. In her final moments, she had given him everything. The power in his veins was no longer just a threat. It was a force for humanity's survival. With a surge of adrenaline, Ethan reached the artifact, activating it just as the Arcanites closed in. The ground beneath them began to tremble as the artifact powered up, sending shockwaves through the facility. The Arcanites screamed in terror as they were caught in the energy blast, their bodies disintegrating in an instant. But as the blast subsided, Ethan realized that the power was far from fully contained. The artifact had unleashed more than he expected. The Earth itself began to shift, the core of the planet activating with a low, rumbling hum. He had only one choice left, to either seal the power away forever or risk the destruction of the world. With no time to think, Ethan made his decision. He used the artifact's final function to close the energy rift, but it came at a cost. The artifact crumbled, and Ethan knew he had to leave before the facility collapsed. In the end, Ethan managed to escape with his life. But the war was far from over. The Arcanites might have been defeated, but there were other forces out there, watching, waiting for the last drop of blood to be spilled again. As he walked away from the ruins of the facility, Ethan couldn't help but wonder, was humanity safe? Or was this just the beginning of a much darker chapter? The night was silent, too silent for a world that had been on the brink of war. A rare celestial event was about to occur, something the ancient texts had prophesied, a blood moon, which would turn the world's natural order upside down. No one knew exactly what it meant, but all the signs pointed to something catastrophic. For centuries, humanity had lived in ignorance of the truth, but tonight, that truth would be revealed. In a small, quiet town on the edge of the world, Michael Hayes watched the sky from his rooftop. He had always been fascinated by the stars, the way the universe seemed so vast and full of possibilities. But tonight, something felt different. The moon was slowly turning crimson, casting an eerie glow across the land. It was a sight of beauty, yes, but it was also something that filled him with an overwhelming sense of dread. Michael had heard the rumors. People in his town had whispered about the blood moon for years, saying that it was the harbinger of something far more dangerous than anyone could imagine. He'd never paid much attention to these stories, chalking them up to superstition. But tonight, as the moon's red light bathed the world, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was about to happen. Just then, a knock on his door broke the silence. Startled, Michael opened it to find a woman standing in front of him. She was drenched in sweat, her face pale and wide-eyed with fear. "You need to come with me," she said urgently. "It's starting." Michael didn't recognize her, but something in her voice told him she was not someone to ignore. Without asking any questions, he followed her into the night, both of them making their way through the darkened streets. "I'm Dr. Sarah Blackwood," she said as they walked quickly. "I've been studying the ancient texts for years. I know what the blood moon means, but I'm afraid we don't have much time." Michael's mind raced. What's going to happen? Why are you so worried? Dr. Blackwood turned to him, her eyes filled with a mixture of fear and determination. "The blood moon marks the awakening of an ancient power. A power that's been locked away for millennia. But it's not just any power, it's the power of human blood. The blood of the chosen ones." "The chosen ones?" Michael repeated, confusion creeping into his voice. "Yes," she confirmed, "and you are one of them." Michael stopped dead in his tracks. "What are you talking about?" "I'm just a regular guy." "You're not," Dr. Blackwood said firmly. "You have the bloodline of an ancient civilization, a civilization that was wiped out thousands of years ago. They knew the secret of human blood. And tonight, the blood moon will activate that power within you." Michael's head spun. He didn't understand what she was saying, but one thing was clear: there was something much bigger happening than he could have imagined. As the two of them hurried to an old abandoned church on the outskirts of town, the moon in the sky continued to glow brighter, its red light now casting long, unnatural shadows across the land. They entered the church and found it eerily quiet. The only sound was their footsteps echoing through the empty halls. Dr. Blackwood led Michael to an altar at the center of the church, where a strange stone tablet lay. She motioned for him to kneel beside it. "This is where it begins," she said, her voice trembling. "Your blood will unlock the ancient power." Michael's heart pounded in his chest. "How do you know all of this? And why me?" Dr. Blackwood's face hardened. "Because I've spent my entire life studying this prophecy. I've found the bloodline of the chosen ones, and yours is the final link. The blood moon tonight will open the gateway to an unimaginable power. The question is whether you will use it or let it destroy everything." Before Michael could respond, the church doors slammed shut behind them with a deafening bang. He turned to see a group of menacing figures standing at the entrance. They were dressed in black robes, their eyes glowing with an unnatural light. Michael instinctively stepped in front of Dr. Blackwood, his mind racing for a plan. "We've been waiting for you," one of the figures said, his voice cold and smooth. "The blood moon has risen, and the power of your blood will now be ours." Dr. Blackwood's face grew pale. "They're the Arcanites, an ancient order that has hunted the bloodlines of the chosen ones for centuries. If they take your blood, they will unleash a power that could tear apart the fabric of reality itself. Michael looked at the altar, then at the figures closing in on them. The air in the church seemed to grow heavier with each passing second. His mind was a whirlwind of thoughts. He didn't want to be part of this. He didn't want to have anything to do with these ancient powers. But deep down, he knew there was no turning back. The Blood Moon had already sealed his fate. The Arcanites advanced, their movements swift and fluid, but before they could reach him, the ground beneath them shook violently. The stone tablet on the altar cracked open, revealing a dark, pulsating energy. It surged into Michael's body like a wave of electricity, and for a moment he felt invincible. His vision blurred as the power inside him began to awaken. He could feel it, the immense force, the energy that had been locked away for centuries. The power of human blood, the power of the chosen ones. He didn't know what to do with it. But one thing was clear: he had to stop the Arcanites before they could use this power for their own twisted purpose. With a scream, Michael raised his hands toward the Arcanites, unleashing a blast of raw energy. The force of it sent the intruders flying across the church, their bodies crashing against the walls with a sickening thud. As the last of the Arcanites crumpled to the ground, Michael collapsed to his knees, the energy inside him beginning to ebb. He had no idea how he had done it, how he had accessed this power. But he knew one thing: the Blood Moon had changed everything. Dr. Blackwood rushed to his side, her face filled with awe. "You did it," she whispered. "You stopped them." But Michael knew it wasn't over. The Blood Moon's rise was just the beginning. There were more forces out there, forces that would stop at nothing to harness the power of human blood. And Michael, now more than ever, was the key. As the last remnants of the Blood Moon faded from the sky, Michael looked up, knowing that his life and the world had just been irrevocably changed.